This is the nth time I've pressed play. And it's the last time. Let's go. Hello everybody, my name is Sofia Masikat and I am the host here on the Unshakable Soul podcast. You are listening to podcast 67, themed Falling into Yourself, where I will offer you 5 ways to align with your authentic self this Libra season. So, I'm recording this right now, September 25th. We just passed the autumn equinox, September 21st. We're entering into a new cycle, into a new season. We're also entering Libra season. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about Libra and its energy, its archetype, and its element, and its characteristics and qualities. And then I'm going to share 5 ways that we can utilize the energy of this season to come back to our truth, come back to ourselves. Because this is all the journey is about. Everything is pointing you back to your truth. So that everything that I'm creating out there, everything that I'm communicating, everything I'm doing is coming from a place of authentic truth and intimate connection here. Okay. So, Libra, as I mentioned, in the fall season, things are starting to brown, turn yellow, turn red. The leaves are falling down. Things are shifting. Libra enters into our lives to remind us to honor relationships, to honor the balance in the energetic polarities that live within us and that are all around us with all the elements. Okay? So, Libra is in its divine expression, in flow in partnerships. It's all about relationships, okay? They have harmonious environments outside of them and within them. They're that person that is stylish. So they have an eye for decor, for beauty, for style, for aesthetics. Libra is very good at recalibrating, right? At seeing where things need to be adjusted so that there's equality or balance. Okay? They're very social people. And their ideas, perhaps, and inspirations are fueled by their relationships. Okay? Now, every sign has its shadow side. Libra in its shadow can manifest as people-pleasing. Okay? So overly focused on others, completely neglecting themselves. It can show up as self-sacrifice. Since this sign is related to the elements of air, we can see air as also be related to the mind. Okay, if earth is the body, air can be seen as the mind. A lot of ideas are generated, but it could also generate a lot of overwhelm and indecision, overthinking. Since they're also very sensitive to the other, and they're all about partnership and relationship, they could be a bit avoidant of conflict. So just feel for you how Libra in its divine expression and shadow have shown up for you in your life so far. Again, with compassionate curiosity. It's not about judging ourselves. We're just being aware. Okay? So, for Libra, and in this season, we're really being asked to look out for our relationships. All types of relationships. And make adjustments where necessary to maintain inner and outer harmony. And this is the dance. This is literally the dance of duality. This is the dance of me versus we. Right? How can I stay in my self-sovereignty but still maintain authentic connections with people outside of me. Okay? So, here we go. Let us dive into these 5 key ways as offerings. Again, anything you do not resonate with, you can just leave it on the side burner. Just chuck it. 5 ways to stay aligned with your authentic truth, specifically in this Libra season. Number 1 is to clear the leaves from your life. So leaves, of course, is a metaphor. But we're clearing out anything that is not true, anything that doesn't feel like it's in resonance with who we are now and who we're stepping into. Okay? So here the metaphor, fall as a season of shedding and letting go, just like the leaves are doing. We're letting go of old patterns, of old habits, of old people or relationships that just weigh us down, that do not inspire us. Okay? So we're beginning to identify now, we're being invited to identify what relationship, person, and place, and even pursuit or project feels heavy or stagnant. Okay? And what we can do here is journal. Okay, this is a beautiful season to journal. Because again, Libra energy is a lot in the mind. There's ideas, but there's indecision, there's conflict. It's like so focused on the other. So no, I'll just stay in the relationship because of them, and completely neglecting our soul that maybe doesn't want to be in the relationship anymore. So when you journal, you're able to put all this mental kerfuffle and also ideas and insights and inspiration and downloads onto paper to actually see it for yourself. We see it and we feel it. So who are the people, places, and pursuits that feel heavy? That feel like a burden? And sometimes we feel our family's a burden. But you still feel you're committed to them. Okay? You still feel like, okay, like I'm here. And especially if you're a mom and you have kids and you're maybe not in the position to say bye-bye, I'm leaving, right? It's about recommitting, but with adjustments. Because perhaps the scales have not been balanced. Maybe you've been acting out Libra shadow for the past months, years, decades, who knows? So maybe it's about setting more boundaries, taking more time to nourish you, and you get to feel for what that actually looks and feels like for you. Okay, so take the time to write down the beliefs, the relationships, the patterns that you have been looping in, that you've been committed to, but perhaps need recommitment in a different way, shifting something within you, or it needs full release and a replacement from something with something completely new. Okay. So that's number 1. We're clearing to make space for the new. I'm clearing out these relationships. No, beautiful. I honor them. Great. I'm choosing to disengage. I'm choosing, if I'm not able to fully cut these people out from my life, for example, or even the project, I'm choosing the level of engagement. Maybe I'm delegating. Maybe it requires me to set boundaries, right? There's many different ways we can start adjusting the way we approach things so that it doesn't feel as heavy. And that's part of the reclamation of my energy. So that energy I'm getting back, I can pour into what's truer, what's most authentic. To more authentic connections. I'll pour into that. Okay? So that's the release. Number 2 comes identifying what is out of balance in my life and coming back into that harmony and alignment. Okay? And I'm going to be careful when I say balance because it seldom is 50-50. Okay? I see more of an interweaving and a dance. Right? This is really when we see, okay, especially for Libra, it's me and it's you. It's we together. But I first have to feel for myself, what does harmony and balance look and feel like in my life, in my body, in my mind? So notice when you feel out of alignment. This harmony speaks to a resonance. There's a resonance in me that is peaceful, that feels in flow with life, that's coming from a place of truth. I'm acting from a place of truth. There's a flow where I'm resting and I'm acting that just works for me. It's not the same perhaps every day, every week, every month, especially if you're a woman listening to this. We know we have our cycles of creative energy. But I'm honoring that. And while, for example, I'm in my crone phase in the new moon, where I have less perhaps outward energy, I'm still in alignment and in harmony within. Right? So this speaks to these small adjustments daily that I can make with these small check-ins I can give myself to ask myself, how do I feel right now? It's so simple. The power pause to take 3 deep breaths. Anchor in each morning, each afternoon, each evening. What do I need right now? And that will dictate your action. Not from what the other person needs, but from what you need. Because when you nourish yourself, you inevitably nourish others. When you set your boundaries, you're teaching people how to treat you. But you have to honor your boundaries. You have to honor your energy. And then you can reflect at the end of the day. What felt in alignment, like I was in my full body yes? What felt in resonance? What felt harmonious? And what didn't? What felt heavy? What's the opposite of harmony for me? How does that feel like in my body? Does it feel like stress? Especially now in fall, it's tendency to get anxious, to get up, a lot of air element up in the mind. That's why having grounding practices, having nourishing meals, warm food, taking the time, slow walks in nature, unplugged. Right? And I know Libra, depending on the planetary placements in your chart, but let's speak generally for Libra, they love to connect, right? They love to socialize. And that's beautiful. But feel for you, is your tendency to always want to be around people? Is there perhaps an aversion to be with yourself? Okay, there's medicine, of course, in our relationships. They're beautiful mirrors to places within ourselves that hold our greatest gifts and our greatest wounds. But we cannot forget the power of being with ourselves, of truly discovering ourselves, of being with our grief, of letting something go, of allowing ourselves that space to process it. So do we numb or distract ourselves through socializing? Again, this is a hard truth to come to if this is resonating for you on any level. So again, self-compassion is needed here. On the other side, you may be a person, like I am, to really be familiar with going inwards, to the point where you almost isolate yourself out because you don't feel perhaps it's safe to be your authentic self with others. So maybe your medicine is, how can I connect more with people? And not just any people. We're choosing the relationships intentionally. We're engaging in relationships that feel nurturing, into environments and projects. We're choosing. This is the power of our choice. Okay, so feel for you the balance of those scales. Do I feel as though I need to go in a little bit more into my woman cave? Or do I feel as though I'm going out, like I'm connecting? And it's not one is better than the other. It's just feeling for you. When am I being called to go within? And when am I being called to go without? And with whom? And to do what? And let your body speak. Let your body guide you. Okay, number 3. Beautiful door in. Reconnecting with your body's wisdom. This is really part of the essence of feminine reclamation and what I teach, the cornerstone. This is the embodiment piece, moving through life from a place of deep wisdom and truth that only you can claim, and only you can give yourself permission to act from that space. Even if that means I need to say no. And also when I'm being called to say yes. This is the reclamation of your authentic self. Your body holds the truth and is always guiding you. The question is, am I listening? So particularly in Libra season, where again, air elements, focusing on the mind, ideas, perhaps indecision, inspiration also, cool communication and conversations with people, relationships, flourishing or releasing and ending, or needing readjustments. There's a lot of ways that we can feel kind of overwhelmed. Every time we feel overwhelmed or too much in the mind, we drop into the body. Simple grounding practices. You have a yoga practice, great. Slow it down. End in Shavasana for longer. Maybe you have a breath working practice. Focus on the exhales. Maybe you have a meditation practice. Great. It doesn't only need to be seated meditation. Maybe it's a mindful walk in nature, unplugged, alone, along a beautiful scenery. It's just bring your awareness to your senses. It can be so simple. We're accessing the inner voice of truth. I like to go on I call them shamanic walks in nature, and I talk to myself. I talk to my higher self. I talk to the moon. I talk to the birds. I am listening and captivated by all the messaging and symbols out there, but ultimately it's all pointing back to a truth within me. And that for me comes out as tears sometimes. Tears of joy comes out as, whoa, I didn't feel this grief before, or this sadness or this pain, and now I'm allowing myself to feel it. Right? So sometimes it's just clearing that space, as we mentioned in point number 1, to get to that point of truth, to clear enough of this energy, this that we haven't expressed and felt, these experiences, to finally come to truth. That perhaps I'm not in the right relationship, I'm not in the right space. So feel for you the gateway that bring you in. Breath work for some, dance for some others, nature walks for some others. It can be all of the above. The thing to remember here is that your body innately has wisdom and is always guiding you. The energy that you house within you is intelligent. It knows where to move. The thing is, a lot of us have suppressed our truth. That's why it's so hard for us to speak our truth, to express it authentically. Our voices have been silenced, or they're on overdrive. So when we come in the feminine descent, back to your hara, back to your pelvic bone, back to your roots, we're inevitably gonna come up with shadow if we haven't given ourselves enough space to alchemize all of the grief and the pain, the ways that we have denied ourselves from any form of self-expression and authentic relating. That is my personal bread and butter that I guide women into one-on-one, in group programs, and also in my upcoming year-long immersion starting next year. I'm going to link everything below if you're feeling called to really going deep in this fall season. If you're in the stage of like, whoa, post-eclipse shadow, you've seen things are being eclipsed in or out of your life, you're in the messy middle, you're on the threshold, girl, that's my domain. I'd be honored to guide you and walk by your side. Okay. More on that later. Let's continue. Number 4. Honoring your relationships and your boundaries. Okay? So here we're reminded that Libra is really about connection. Right? And it's also about realizing what type of connection am I forging here. Is it forced, or is it coming from a place of love and intimacy and authenticity? Right? And ultimately, all my connections out there are going to be a reflection of how deeply am I connected within me, within my truth. How deeply am I honoring my energy? So my boundaries are important. And also how deeply am I honoring my full body? Yes, I want to connect with you. Yes, I want to do this project. Yes, I want to press go on this idea. Get things going. Get into that right partnership. Get that project going. Am I fully stepping into that? Or am I afraid of being judged? Am I afraid of being shamed? Right? Am I up in my mind and getting all jostled here? No, indecision. Again, come back to practice number 3. Get into your body. Get into that shadow. What is the fear there? Okay? So here we're looking at who and what nourishes me. Who and what depletes me? What boundaries do I need to set and honor? So that's especially for the people that tend to have their energy always out there. With that Libra energy that is very codependent, that seeks validation perhaps from people, projects, that cling on to things even when that relationship, that project, that place is toxic to them. I know I'm in that space right now, and it's crunchy. When you face that truth that you're no longer in the right space. That's why that connection within needs to be so strong when we're on the threshold of any change. You need to have a good, solid root that you belong here first, in your body, in you, in your truth. You know your worth. And it's not about walking life alone. You realize you're interconnected. You're never alone. And that you get to choose the partnerships and relationships that nourish you. Your allies, you get to choose them. Get to choose your soul family. Maybe you don't get to choose your biological family, but you can still honor them and set boundaries where needed. So practice. Write down one boundary to strengthen this week. And you can also write down a relationship you want to nurture intentionally. It's all about intention. Okay. And this leads me to point number 5. Okay, point number 5 is rituals. Rituals and soul alignment for your daily life this Libra season. Rituals are the cornerstone of what I teach and what I live and breathe every single day. This is when you bring in the mystical to the mundane, the magic, and you make it practical. You can ritualize anything. Sex, eating, pooping, brushing your teeth, washing the dishes. Okay? We're realizing that our rituals and our devotion to our own self-care practices, to our own home space, to our relationships with ourselves, with life, with others, with the universe, that is what makes this human experience divine and beautiful. And rituals don't need to be complicated. Even a small act of reflection, hand on the heart, a little candle being lit, or even journaling are all powerful. If you want to, put the music, the incense, the oracle cards, the salt bath, go for it. Feel for you. Sometimes you're feeling, okay, I need to make this more grandiose. And sometimes it's this is going to be small and simple. I like to do bigger rituals for the full moon and new moon, and then daily little rituals. Right? Not one is better than the other. You look at your time and look at also your time and your cycle in your life and feeling, okay, does this feel like a time for something bigger? Something like a women's circle that I want to actually go to. I want to be held. Or does it feel like something more private and personal? And it could be both. Okay. And this intentionality, how I move through my life with intention, it really helps to amplify the connection with higher self. With you, with your truth, with your authentic truth. These are check-ins with yourself. This is also time that you can ask for guidance, that you're open, that you're opening your mind, broadening your perspective, opening insights being gathered from source, from nature, from people, from conversations. You're gathering, but you're acting from a place of truth. You are making decisions, not somebody else. Okay. So here are simple practices that are just on offer for you to feel into, to ritualize your everyday life in accordance to the Libra season specifically. Okay. So, as I mentioned, Libra in its shadow could manifest as anxiety. Right? Overwhelmed. A lot of things are going on in the mind. So just helping to have a routine is really nice, especially in the fall season too. Going to bed at the same time, waking up roughly at the same time, eating meals at the same time helps to stabilize yourself. Mind, body, emotions. Okay, maybe you're opening simple gratitude, writing down one thing you want to get accomplished today. Movement, breathing, practice, breakfast, done. Feel for you how much time you want to have and take for your practice, okay? Closing your day, simple gratitude journal, something you learned about yourself. You can add in what felt in alignment or in harmony today and what didn't. What relationship felt nourishing? What connection felt nourishing and which one didn't? And then end with maybe meditation, abhyanga, warm oil massage, and you're done. These are just examples. Feel for you what feels nourishing. Okay? Other rituals we can tap into Libra season. Beautifying your space. Okay? Remember, Libra is about beauty. So, fall decor. Create something in your home environment that feels cozy and warming. Like you want to spend some time there and invite people in. Remember, Libra is socializing. Right? Also, it can mean for you, maybe there's a new beauty routine that you want to try on. Right? Maybe a new haircut. Maybe there's new clothing. Maybe it's clothing you haven't worn in a while. There's a change of season. So maybe you're like, okay, summer clothes. That's one way to ritualize a change of season is, changing around your physical environment and also, what you're wearing. Bring up your fall attire. Maybe you're going out on a date. Again, forging connection with a friend or a romantic date. Doesn't matter. Maybe you're taking yourself on a date because you're like, I really want to get to know myself better and offer myself this self-care, this nourishment. Right? Whatever that is for you. Maybe a massage because you're highly stressed. Or maybe it's your favorite food. Your favorite restaurant. Okay? Maybe you have ideas. Or you're stuck with indecision. You want to talk to a soulful confidant, a mentor, coach, a guide that you trust. So you're seeking maybe another perspective in order to gain perhaps new and fresh insight. Do you want to see if somebody else can see your blind spots? Or you're just having a soulful conversation, bouncing and brainstorming ideas. Right? Maybe you're trying a 24-hour social media detox. So unplugging and plugging into real human connection or nature connection or both. And tying into nature, maybe you're ritualizing just going into nature. Simply cutting your day in half perhaps. You can do this any time of the day. Breathing the fresh air, going for a nice fall hike or bike ride to just feel the wind. Remember, air element. All right. So those were the 5 practices that were on offer to align with our authentic truth this Libra season, just having passed the autumn equinox. Okay, so the 5 ways. Number 1 is release the old. Number 2 is balancing your life and seeing what energy needs to be rebalanced within you, right? You're giving, you're receiving. Am I pouring out? Then I'm actually pouring in. Okay, what does that look like in my life? You can also look at what's in alignment in my life, what feels out of alignment, what feels crunchy and off. Number 3 was embodiment, really getting into the body. We got a bit into that shadow work, giving yourself enough space to feel through the release, which a lot of times actually brings up grief or sadness, and allowing yourself to come into that point of clarity so that my relationships and connections come from my authentic truth. Number 4 was nurturing those connections and relationships, and also setting boundaries to those that don't nourish me. And number 5 was ritualizing your everyday life in accordance to the season and to Libra. So experiment with one of these practices this week, maybe one each week for the duration of sort of Libra season, so 4 weeks long about. And if anything from this conversation resonated with you, then I will invite you to dive deeper into ways that we can work together, right? So I offer one-on-one embodiment coaching. I have 1 more spot left this fall season. And I'm also offering an online new moon threshold journey that will mark us entering into Scorpio season. So that's going to be October 21st, and it will be for 3 days. So 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Okay. And I also have my big baby coming out in January. That's a year-long immersion where we get to go through a whole year of changing seasons, of lunar cycles, and of intentionally working with this energy, sky energy, earth energy, and navigating all the changes happening so that our dreams and heart's deepest desires can materialize, that we can manifest it, and ultimately express our authentic essence, which is ultimately what we're here to share this world. Okay? So, if anything resonates with you, if you feel pulled, if you even want to chat a little bit more, I have a 30-minute discovery call I offer as well. I'll link everything in the description notes of this podcast. And of course, I'm always grateful to share. If you feel called to share this to a girlfriend, to a brother also, sisters and brothers alike, always grateful to share the love. All right, so I promised journaling prompts, and here they are before we close. I'll also have them in the show notes. Number 1, what am I ready to release this season? Number 2, where do I feel off balance? And what small step can I take toward harmony? Number 3, what truth about myself am I ready to honor? Number 4, which relationships or boundaries need attention to support my authentic self? And number 5, what small ritual can I commit to daily to reconnect me to my inner wisdom? All right, loves, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your presence. And until I see you again, wishing you a beautiful rest of your day.